just explain the current state of Namibia's debt, especially the foreign debt, how it relates to other countries, and then I'll try to touch on how it has socio-economic impacts towards the end. So, if we can look at the percentage of debt to GDP, so this is one of the indicators, Kathleen, or Deshi said earlier, the Minister of Finance frequently talks about. You can see here that since 2015, our government has persistently been increasing the level of domestic debt as a percentage of GDP. That's the grey line that you see going up. And in the blue line at the bottom, you can see that's the foreign debt to GDP, which has actually since 2015 been relatively flat. But if you compare current levels to then, it's actually been on a declining trend. So at the moment, domestic debt is about 51% of GDP, and foreign debt is at about 16% of GDP, which is actually quite low. But I'll touch on, or I'll compare Namibia to other countries later on. If we look at the composition of our government's total outstanding debt, we see that most of it is actually borrowed from its own people. So domestic debt being the grey bars in this chart that you see. I don't know if the people at the back can see the slide or the screen up front. So grey bars is our domestic debt, and that's about 76% of our total debt. And in the blue bars that you see at the bottom, that is our foreign debt as a percentage of total debt, and that's at about 24% at the moment. So what I'm trying to show with this graph is that you can see visibly as well, our foreign debt is not necessarily so large, especially compared to other African countries. It's actually quite low. Our government continues to borrow more from its own nation than from foreigners, which I think is also a good position to be in, because then you avoid exchange rate risks, you avoid capital outflows, deteriorating current account balances, and all these things if you have excessive foreign debt. So I think Namibia's debt position actually ranks quite, or looks quite, it's more favorable than it is for other African countries. If you look at this chart over here, you can see that we had significant spikes in foreign debt, in the growth in foreign debt. In 2011 and 2015, you can see that grey line sort of jumping up in those 2 years. I personally must admit I'm not too sure what exactly happened there, but I met two more experienced economists sitting all the way at the back that might have the answer for us. But you can see that for the last 10 years, to a great extent, domestic debt has been growing at a faster rate than foreign debt, because obviously the black line is above the grey line for most of this time period. It just sort of supports the view of the first two graphs that I've shown. And then looking at debt servicing costs as a percentage of revenue, you can see this grey line is continuously rising, and it's actually at the highest level than it has been in the last 10 years. And this is concerning, because what this tells us is that your numerator, which is debt, is growing much faster than your denominator, which is tax revenue, or just total government revenue. So, and you can see there in the dotted line, it's forecasted to continue increasing. This is now Ministry of Finance's forecasts. So at the moment we're at about 15%, but it's forecasted to go over 16% in the medium term, that's until 2024. And the problem with this is that, especially since 2015, our economy has either been contracting or showing very small growth rates. And that's for a couple of reasons. The commodity price boom has come to an end by that time. We had a prolonged drought that negatively affected agriculture. And then at the same time, the government started doing fiscal consolidation in 2016. So why that is a problem is government is the biggest player in our economy. They're between 60 and 70% of GDP, of our, 70% of our economy. So if they start spending less, then obviously it's a no-brainer that everything else will suffer. It's similar to a household where the wife doesn't work, she stays at home with the children, and the husband is the only income earner. If he decides to spend less, the whole household suffers as a result, because he's the main income earner. No one else has spending power to buy more electricity or food if he decides to spend less on that. So that's sort of the situation that we are in. We do not see much scope or room for the private sector to take over. We still have policy uncertainty. NIAP is probably the biggest one that deters investment from private business owners. We do not have a conducive business environment for startups to establish themselves and create jobs and so forth. So we don't see the private sector being able to lead economic growth. So I'm probably diverting the conversation a bit, but this is concerning because as our economy does not grow, it doesn't add new jobs, no new businesses are established, obviously tax revenue from government will remain under pressure. And if debt continues to grow faster than your revenue, at some point you'll have less money available to spend on other social programs such as education, health. You'll have less money to invest in infrastructure, so roads, dams, ports, and all these things. That's why this graph is very concerning. At the moment, it's still fairly low. But if our economy doesn't start showing much higher growth rates, and debt continues as it is at the moment, then as we move along into the future, government will have less and less money available to spend on other crucial social spending programs such as health and education. And that's then how the average Namibian is negatively impacted by this growing debt issue. But going back to our foreign debt, that is in US dollars, renminbi, and then the euro. So the Chinese government, to a great extent, manipulates their currency to keep it as low as possible because that improves their export competitiveness, makes their exports cheap. So that probably is not too much of a risk, but obviously the rand is very volatile against the US dollar and the euro, and currently also at very low levels. If our Bank of Namibia does not keep pace with the interest rate hikes that we see in the US, we'll continuously see a weaker rand exchange rate. South Africa has its own problems. The rand always depreciates on the day of an announcement by Eskom of more load shedding, for example, but obviously also a lot of other economic challenges. So the rand being forecast at a 25 against the US dollar by some people over the next 5 to 10 years will be disastrous for us. Currently, I mean, at least for the short term, I think the rand is likely to move lower because of the aggressive interest rate hikes that we see in the US. So this obviously is a concern for us because as the rand weakens, our interest repayments on this debt increases, meaning even more money is taken away from governments' revenues for them to spend on other expenditure items in our country. But once again, because our foreign debt is such a small percentage of our total debt, this sort of negative impact is limited to some extent, I believe. Especially if we look at other African countries. I normally don't like comparing Namibia to other countries. I believe you must look at your own country in isolation to see what is ideal for you, what works for you, and what do you want. But I couldn't help myself to compare Namibia's foreign debt to GDP to other African countries, and you can see there Namibia being the black bar. It ranks quite favorably if I compare to other African countries. Only at 16%, but you can see Angola foreign debt to GDP is 113%, 87% for Zambia, 50% for Botswana, for Rwanda, sorry, but for Namibia only 16%. So the negative impacts that I mentioned earlier, to some extent, is limited for Namibia because foreign debt is not such a big component of our total debt. And then I think it's just interesting to look at this graph. I know there was a lot of media attention about our government being close to defaulting on their debt. I think we attach a very low probability to our government defaulting on their debt anytime soon. I think the way things are done at the moment is not ideal. 35% of new capital raised from primary bond auctions are being used to repay old debt. So that means for every $1 you invest in a government bond, 35 cents is being used to repay old debt for other investors. That's obviously not ideal, but once again, we are at 35 cents at the moment. Other African countries that are 60, 70 cents on every dollar invested with them that goes back to repaying old debt. But we are not in an ideal situation, but I think it's still sustainable for the medium term, and that's probably 10 to 15 years. But the risks for defaulting on our debt, we see it as very low. You can see in this graph, Namibia is all the way at the left of this graph, the black bar that you see there. We only have 10% of our total debt maturing in the next 3 years. Whereas other African countries, look at Egypt, 68% of their debt matures in the next 3 years. So they are in a serious problem of having to find a large amount of money to repay the debt that is maturing or that's maturing very soon. But obviously Namibia is ranking very favorably in this regard. I think this is a very interesting graph. It shows you, the two blue lines show you that the annual growth in both foreign and domestic debt has consistently been exceeding the growth rate of our economy. It's higher than our real GDP growth rate, in other words. What this normally indicates to us is that if your debt is growing faster than your economy, then that debt is mainly being used for consumption purposes, because the debt is growing much faster than the economy. So it tells us that somewhere the debt is not being used in productive assets that can actually lead to better growth rates. So your debt growth is not translating into economic growth. And I think this view that debt is mainly being used for consumption purposes is supported by this next graph that you see here. What this shows you is the split of government expenditure. So this takes total government expenditure in finance, and it shows you how much goes to the operational budget and how much goes to the development budget. The operational budget is used for daily expenses, but the biggest component there is salaries of public servants. The development budget is any expenditure, or rather investment, into infrastructure projects, or sort of any investment into fixed assets. So this is not your day-to-day expenses that you're paying, it's fixed assets, whether it's a school building, whether it's a clinic building, or a road, or a port, or something. And you can see there that the operational budget takes about 95% of the total budget. Development budget only gets 5%. So most of the expenditure is also going towards consumption purposes and not into investments. So this has serious negative long-term effects for our economy and for future generations. Because number one, future generations will inherit a great amount of debt that they need to repay with their tax revenue. And they will sit with an economy that doesn't have a lot of productive capacity to create jobs, to stimulate general economic activity and keep things going. So future generations will have to do a significant amount of investment to really improve the growth rates of our economy, to create jobs that are needed for a growing population than what we currently are doing. And this is obviously a problem for future generations. I forgot now the other thing I wanted to mention about this. Maybe it'll come back to me later on. My second last slide is just to show you where Namibia currently ranks with regards to credit ratings from the two agencies who cover us, Fitch and Moody's. And you can see in this graph, Namibia is between 7 and 8 notches above default status. At the moment, Namibia is considered highly speculative for foreign investors. So this is obviously a negative for us, because when foreign investors decide whether they want to invest in our country or not, they typically would first consult or look at what the credit rating agencies have to say about us. Some investment banks or asset managers rather are prohibited from investing in jurisdictions that have certain classifications from credit rating agencies. So this obviously is something that should be worrisome, because as credit ratings deteriorate, our cost of borrowing has to go up, because there's obviously more implied risk. So that once again worsens the debt servicing cost as a percentage of revenue for government. Our debt is likely to continue increasing. No one is necessarily forecasting significant economic growth rates for the next 2 to 3 years. So if our economy continues to sort of stagnate, not really growing much, but our debt continues to climb, it is likely that the fiscal indicators or metrics that these credit rating agencies look at will deteriorate further. So the probability of further downgrades from Moody's and Fitch is quite high. And then Coming back to tonight's topic of foreign debt, foreigners would in any case not want to give our government loans or invest in our country if we have bad credit ratings. So then our government will become more dependent on raising money from its own nation, selling them government bonds and treasury bills and raising debt from the domestic market in that way. And then, because they'll in any case not, foreign debt won't be so accessible to our government in the future. So maybe just to conclude, I think foreign debt, not such a big problem in Namibia. Yes, having excessive foreign debt for any country is a problem because it also implies that more money leaves the system than money staying within the system. But in Namibia, I just don't see that as a big problem for us. I think our problem rather is that a great deal of the nation's savings is in government debt. At the moment, we still see that easily being repaid, but as this graph has shown you, that debt has not necessarily been used wisely because that debt has not translated into higher growth rates for our economy. So you can't have debt growing at double digits, but your economy is only growing at very low single digits. And I think how the average man on the street, or the average man or lady on the street is being affected by this in Namibia